All right, in this video, I want to kind of get on my soapbox again. It never ceases to amaze me. I'm getting more and more annoyed by this as I'm seeing this pattern develop more and more. It's always been around. We know it in the motorcycle community, but it's a particular angle to this profiling of bikers. And I know most of what we see out there when we're talking profiling is more around the profiling by police officers and other government entities that all bikers are in gangs. If you're in a motorcycle club, that means you're a gang member, that sort of thing. And that's a real important profiling issue for bikers, don't get me wrong. But I think what's even more pervasive of a profiling, more subtle of a profiling that's going on with motorcycle riders that I've spoken about before, but I want to give you some specific examples that has me so agitated right now with my practice itself, to give you a flavor for it and to ultimately tell you what I've always been preaching, which is unfortunately, motorcycle riders have to police themselves and do everything you can to project an image to the general public that helps with this profiling concept. And what I'm talking about is just this subtle underlying theory, if you will, by the general public that don't ride, that motorcycle riders are the ones that are always doing something stupid. They're driving fast. They're the ones that are always at fault in car wrecks and things like that. That's this subtle profiling that then is pervasive throughout the system. I've talked many a time, you guys have watched videos about it, about jurors and how my biggest fight in what I do on a daily basis in my practice is fighting against this profile, because the insurance companies use it to their advantage. They know they're going to get 12 jurors that are going to have, that many of them are going to have this underlying theory and thought about motorcycle riders, and they prey upon it in cases where there shouldn't be arguments over fault. All of a sudden there is in almost every motorcycle case, because they know they can prey upon this bias that, well, maybe the motorcycle rider was doing something wrong and they're partially or totally responsible for the wreck. What does that do? If it's partial, it lowers the recovery that you can get for your injuries. You wouldn't even have that discussion in a lot of these cases if it was a car versus car wreck. But then it's always there for some reason with these motorcycle cases. So here's 3 that have happened to me for my clients in the past month alone that's just driving me insane. Had a guy call the other day that was in a wreck where the car, cager, pulls out and T-bones the motorcycle rider. Clearly at fault for the accident. How can you argue otherwise? He gets out of the vehicle and is immediately complaining to the cop that, oh, well, I think the motorcycle rider must have been speeding. He's got no evidence of it, but says somehow the motorcycle rider was speeding. He wouldn't even be making those arguments if it was a car. I got another one where a lady T-bones my client at night going through his lane, to get to a convenience store. Totally not paying attention, 100% at fault. What does she do? She gets out and says, oh, he was probably drinking, probably didn't have his headlights on. Well, we're able to prove with witnesses he had his headlights on. Coming up with every excuse possible to say, I'm not at fault, the motorcycle rider is. And again, you don't even see this in most car wreck cases, but somehow every single time it's happening in motorcycle cases that I see. I had one that we're still working through that was delayed for 2 months because the guy rear ends a motorcycle rider who is stopped at a stop sign waiting on traffic so she could go. He hits her, knocks her off the bike, admits fault at the scene to like 12 different witnesses. But guess what? To his insurance company, he then says, no, I wasn't at fault, comes up with some sort of an excuse that she was out in the roadway or something like that, not where she says she was. Took 2 months of us fighting that concept with the witnesses and everything else to get the insurance company to back off of their insured's excuses for what happened. Again, don't even have this in 99% of car versus car cases, but yet in every single motorcycle wreck case that we have received and are working on the past couple of months, it's excuse after excuse. So again, this is this subtle profiling that's out there. I want to keep you guys aware of it because, again, it doesn't get as much attention, and I think it needs to because it's way more pervasive than this profiling that's getting all the headlines about police officers harassing bikers and things like that because of this concept of they're all drug runners and gangs. Still a huge problem, don't get me wrong, but here's another aspect to it. Finally, I'll say, look out there at the organizations that are pushing 2 bills. I don't know where they are. It's been a while since I've looked to see what kind of progress has been made, but there's been this national push to get some law created around this profiling of bikers and to try to relieve some of that. And there's 2 bills, one in the House, one in the Senate. I know there was support trying to be gained so it would get moved out of committees and things like that. Don't know if that's happened, but check that out because, again, that is one aspect of the profiling that certainly you can piggyback on for the other aspects of profiling. So anyway, hope this video is interesting to you. It gives you some food for thought. Shoot me an email, comment to this video if you have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching and stay safe out there.